Hi, I'm Caterina Di Biase and I'm here with Showpony, and we're going to do Showpony Ombre or Shombre. So we've got a beautiful short bob. Now how can you get a clientele with short hair and turn them into extensions? The perfect scenario. Asian hair, dark, loves colour, doesn't want to bleach her own hair, but wants to be fashionable. So that's what we're going to do today. But this is what happens sometimes, is that the client does a little bit of home cutting and there is a little sneaky panel on the side here. So today, not only are we going to do chambray, but we are going to fill the sides at the same time. So it could be a client that has very fine spindly hair, or someone that has an undercut that's trying to grow it out. So this is the perfect scenario. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some natural hair extensions through the sides, cut it to the length of the existing length, which is like a short bob, and then we're going to add colour. Obviously, we'll do it all at the same time, so it's very, very quickly. You don't have to add the dark, then go back and add the blonde. We do the blonde and the dark at the same time, so we're extending and colouring at the same time. It's very, very fun. It's fantastic. It means that she can change her hair colour like she changes her shoes or a handbag, whatever it is. So today, women love to change it. We have the perfect opportunity to do so. And we're going to put beautiful silver extensions in. Silver is so fashionable at the moment, looks fantastic against dark hair, it's going to give us a great contrast, so we'll show you as we go. First of all, remember, prep the hair, wash, shampoo, no conditioner at the roots. Prep the hair is really, really important so you can get the placement of the extension. That's so important. We're going to start on the sides and work through. Because it's chambray, we don't need too many. We want it to be a feature, not overtaking, because we're working with short hair here. You don't actually need length, just colour. What I'm doing now is I'm putting them in really, really quite low and close to the hairline here. Because of the haircut, or in this particular, it's a haircut, and I'm putting one directly behind. It is done for a show. I need to fit to blend the short and the long, but you need to be careful because that's on a real client every day. That's an odd spot, so you probably wouldn't put it there because it interferes with your glasses, and it can tend to stick out like that. And clients are forever pushing it in. So you need to be very careful. It probably needs to be a centimetre higher there so the glasses can slide in perfectly underneath, or you can easier to tuck. But because it's a show, we're breaking the rules and we're doing a little bit long. If a client is saying, I don't tuck my hair and all that and says it's okay, then you would put it in low, because otherwise it would tend to pop out like that and not be very comfortable. So that's something, again, comes down to consultation. So what we're going to do now, because we're filling, you don't always have to do matchy-matchy. When I mean matchy-matchy, I mean a dark and a dark. So what I've done is I'm putting a dark underneath because I want that to fill that baseline, and now I'm going to put my highlight in, and I'm going to do, this is what Caterina calls a half bob. Okay, so half dark and then the light on the top. So it's not always the same. And you can see here, as I pull that out, you can see what I mean by short and long. So again, dark underneath. And then the light on top. Now this time, I'm going to do blonde and blonde, or silver and silver I should say, sorry, so that I really get my impact colour happening through there. In this particular style, I'm going particularly high. So I'm really, coming up over the crest. So I'm looking at the hair. So I'm coming up right on the crest line. So it's, it's important because we're trying to make an effect. So and we're thinking about, where is the hair going to fall? Where do I want the colour to fall? So I'm coming right up here because I want that to fall down. Bearing in mind, always take a look at the receding hairline, where the fringe is falling, how close can you come to the fringe, how far back. You need to take that into consideration when you've got a beautiful fringe in place. Where is it going to fall? You don't want it peekabooing out. It doesn't look good. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now, this time, is I'm going to do the blonde underneath. And I'm going to put the dark on top. So you can see that's blending. So remember the underneath I did in through here, dark underneath with the silver on top. The last one, silver underneath with the dark on top, so that when the hair falls, it blends better. So you need to use your creative skill and just look and see. What we're going to do is, because of the bob line here, and I want to fill it in, sometimes using 2 tape right on the top is too bulky. So you can do a little trick, and it's using 1 tape but with a single-sided tape. And you can either put the hair extension underneath with the tape on top, or the other way round. So we're going to do it on this side here. I just want to add another piece of dark to make sure that that's blending. It's really good when you're going right up high on the head. So, and it's also fantastic for fringes. So what we're going to do is, because I want to just make sure that that front bit's blending, I just want to show you how good it really is. So you take your section accordingly, putting my tape underneath as I would. And then what you do is you use tape that is just one-sided and clear. And we put that on top. So it doesn't have another layer of hair, but it gives you just that little bit of peekaboo hair over the top. So if you wanted to add a little highlight in the fringe, you could have some going through the fringe so it's not so bulky. So we could have a little, you know, maybe the hair is very sparse and you want to fill a little bit in there, you could put one in there to fill that up, which would be really lovely, or to add a bit of colour. Say you wanted a peekaboo pop of colour, you could put that in there and it wouldn't last long. And then if the client got tired, you could take it out and it'd only be 1 or 2 tapes. So, you know, if you're doing a full head, you just might reserve one for the fringe and just give her a pop of colour, which would be really beautiful. So a pop of colour can be a really great way of changing a hairstyle. And think about it, she doesn't want any colour, and you just do just the fringe in a beautiful bob cut. Looks amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a pop of colour just in through the front, because I can. So I can add an extension, and I want to have some fun, and I want to introduce some more colour into my client. So I'm going to add some silver in the fringe. It'll just be what I call a peekaboo, teasy bit of colour, and have some fun. And I'm so excited because I'm just going to do one-sided, and I think it'll be just really, really good, because that's what you can do, and it's so exciting. We're going to go very, very high up on the fringe. So you can imagine that it needs to be just thin so that you can't see it. So I'm going to do it in reverse. So I'm going to put the tape underneath, and I'm going to put the tape underneath, pulling the hair down. Still using my... So the tape's in the hair. And then I'm going to put on top. The reason why I did that is the top of the tape is not as shiny, so that when this comes down, you will just get that melting effect just coming through the fringe. Really beautiful. Just love it. It's also fantastic. A lot of clients have thin temples. They want a beautiful fringe, but they want a full fringe, but they don't want it to go right back like they're 5 years of age. So it's a way of adding a little bit of hair in there and giving her a peekaboo colour. How sexy is that? Love it. Let's do some more on the other side. Now this time on this side, I'll do it the other way round, just so I can show you what it's like. So this time I'm going to put the extension underneath, as if I was normally doing it. Down, and I'm going to use my clear tape on the top. So in the reverse of what I've done over here. So over here, you can see that the extension's on the top, and this one, the extension's underneath. But when I drop it down, it looks the same, but sometimes, you know, it all depends whether you want it shiny on the top or whether you want it matte on the top. So I'm just trying to show you two different alternatives. But you can see at the moment, she looks pretty cool, you know. If we're doing a, Hair Expo shoot, something, it looks really great. And now we'll cut it in and reveal that beautiful shape with a pop of color. Generally when I'm extensions, I would use a razor and I would cut it in with a razor. But today we've got quite a blunt line. So what I'm doing is I'm getting the client to tilt her head down, and so I'm going to be able, it'll give me rough graduation, which will help me blend it in a little bit more. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going through and I'm giving it a little bit of a wiggle. So I just want to add some texture in there, and that's all I want to do. So I'm just going to go through using my, just a wand, and just gently going through and just giving it a little bit of a bend, not too much. And alternating my curls so that I get it going, all different directions. So it's not too regimental, and it's keeps it very, very fashionable. And also it's great because if the client wants to do it herself, how can she, so she can do it herself. When you do it in the salon, it always looks fantastic, but clients do like to be able to, look good all the time themselves. So what I'm trying to do is to keep it quite large. I'm actually just grabbing the extension with all the hair around it, so that it keeps the sections large. Because I think that's important too, remembering to stretch it so that you don't get too much curl, because the extension won't drop. The angle of your curling iron or straightening iron or whatever is really, really important. So make sure that you have it all positioned in the right way, the way you want it to go. Also, when you're curling it and you've got the short hair, you need to make sure that you try to curl that in and blend it in so that they melt in together. So what I'm doing now is I'm going back with my razor and just personalizing it a little bit. So I'm just picking up the extensions, and you back comb and you just pick up the extensions and you just gently razor, and just to soften the ends ever so slightly. So as if you were doing a client in the salon, and you might just pick it up and just back comb it a little bit, and then you can just razor it off ever so slightly just to personalize it a little bit. You do still need to use your artistic hairdressing skills to make it look really, really beautiful. So obviously the client's hair is dark. We did put some dark ones in the bottom there, but just around the front where these little white ones are just a bit, I don't know, I just don't like, a bit too tufty. So I'm just going through and just razoring the edges off so that it blends in a little bit more. Just push back the hair slightly, ever so slightly, and all those little details are what really, really, make it the finesse. It's like a good haircut and a bad haircut, so it's really important that you get that right. And now I've got to iron those extensions in the fringe because they're very straight. So I just need using an iron and just melting them into the existing fringe gently, so that they melt in. And that's really, really important, because if you look at it at the moment, you can see they're sticking out like little tufts, which don't look nice, and the client would be very, very, thinking, oh my God, that doesn't look good. So I'm just coming in, just picking up her whole existing fringe and the extension, and just gently blending that through, and just melt it together, and see how that just disappears. And that's what you need. You need to do that. And that's, just like you would do with a client in a salon when you're cutting a fringe, making sure that the fringe is sitting perfect. You need to do the same thing, just melt it through. I call it melting, because I think it does. Now you can't see where it starts and finishes. And all I'm doing now is I'm just going through and I'm just breaking it up, adding a little bit of salt spray through it, giving a little bit of texture, leaving it. We'll just let it settle, and then I'll fluff it up and use a dry spray through it, but it's just sitting really, really nicely and all set and ready to go.